And welcome back to 5 on Fridays. I'm super excited for this one, an important conversation, I think a very timely conversation. I'm excited to welcome back in long-term friend of the program, registered dietitian extraordinaire, Ashley Harris. How are you, my friend?
I am good. Thank you, Brandon. It's awesome to be back in front of you or virtually in front of you.
Yeah. Yep. I know we've got a lot of different things we want to hit on throughout the rest of this year, especially as it pertains to nutrition, food safety. We've got a lot of fun things planned. But today, especially with the heat wave in Columbus, we just want to start the conversation about food safety and just sort of why is that such a big hot topic and something we should be thinking about throughout the summer right now, Ashley?
Yeah, no, awesome. This is an area that a lot of people kind of get tripped up with, especially in the summer, right? We see a big rise in foodborne illnesses, food poisoning during the summer months. And there's a couple reasons why, right? Like bacteria and pathogens, they like the warm, humid temperatures. And then we have more outdoor activities going on. You know, we're doing picnics and barbecues and like outdoor parties. And so we don't have that safety control of the kitchen where it's a cool kitchen and we have a fridge on hand and really good washing abilities. So yeah, I wanted to just kind of have that conversation with people so we can all stay safe this summer while enjoying our favorite foods.
Yes. Okay. So I know most of us are familiar with bacteria, at least the term, but you threw a different one at us, pathogen. What exactly is a pathogen? How does it differ from bacteria and why should we care about it?
So they're actually not really that different, right? They're in essence the same thing. It's just kind of a different term. But basically, you know, bacteria slash pathogens are microorganisms. They're everywhere in our environment. You know, we talk a lot about gut health and we have good bacteria and bad bacteria. The pathogens that we're concerned about, those are those bad bacteria. Like I said, they're everywhere. But what happens is when we have high numbers of them concentrated, that's when people get sick. Any piece of food or countertop or hands, you know, if you've done those little like petri dish and you put your hand on it and you watch the stuff grow, like it's there. So we worry about that because when they multiply on the food and we eat that, we have reactions. You know, they range from mild to severe. There are high risk populations, so especially young people, old people, immunocompromised, they're at most risk for getting a foodborne illness or having like an adverse reaction. But even if we have a mild one, like they're not fun, right? We don't want to go to a barbecue and then like have our stomachs hurting and be nauseous and stuff the next day. So basically, we actually have a thing called the danger zone, like little nod to Top Gun for this summer, but that's that temperature between 40 degrees and 140 degrees where the bacteria really love to thrive and multiply. And so when we're talking food safety, we want to be really careful. When we chill our food, we need it to be below not 40 degrees. When we reheat it and cook it, we want it to get to above that 140 degrees. So we're keeping it out of that kind of danger zone. Does that make sense, Brandon?
Yeah, no, it does. And I'm glad that you talked about that danger zone. I know we'll dive into it a lot more throughout the summer. Just keeping it in mind that we don't want our food to be lukewarm.
Yeah.
Avoid that kind of like middle area where it's not cold enough and it's not hot enough. As a general rule of thumb, we will probably be okay. Where do pathogens and bacteria come from and how exactly do they get into our food?
So, you know, like I said, they're everywhere. Right? So it can come from us. They're on our hands. So before you prep food, before you cook food, before you serve food, before you eat food, you want to wash your hands really well. You want to use, you know, soap and hot water. I think we've all become hand washing experts in this COVID era. So it can come from the cooking environment, right? It could be on your cutting board, your counter, your knife, your sponge, you know, all of those things. So this is why you want to keep the kitchen clean. You want to wash those things before you use them. And then it comes from the food itself, right? Like there is bacteria in and on everything. And it's why like when we get fruits and vegetables, we wash them, right? You don't need to use like real fancy wash stuff, but we want to give them a good scrubbing. You know, they're in meats. They're naturally occurring in meats, which is why you always want to cook your meats because once you get it above that right temperature, and it varies for different meats, but you want to kill all that bacteria in there. And then it, you know, like I said, it just is kind of naturally in food. So
got it. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you know, I'm officially terrified. You've scared me straight. How do we stay safe, Ashley? What are we gonna do?
It's easy. Don't be scared.
Okay.
There's like 4 rules that I like to follow. The first is clean, right? Clean the surfaces, wash your hands, don't cross-contaminate, don't, you know, cut up your raw chicken on a cutting board and then go cook that chicken to the proper temperature, but then throw, you know, your veggies for your salad on there and chop it up because now they've touched that bacteria from the meat. So, you know, we want to be keeping things separate for like meat and produce. We still want to be washing it regularly. So we want to separate. So clean, separate. I kind of dove into my next rule. Even storing of them, the separating. So if you think of like, you should always store raw meat at the bottom of your fridge. Because what you don't want is like your raw chicken above your like fruit salad that drips onto there. And now like you think you're healthy and you're just eating all that salmonella that's dripped into your fruit salad. So making sure foods are properly covered is really important for that separation. So clean, separate, then cook. You want to make sure things are cooked to the proper temperature. Everyone should invest in a nice little food thermometer for their kitchen. You can kind of check your meat. And like Brandon said, I think we'll delve more into this as the summer goes on. And then chill. That's the last part. So we want to clean, we want to separate, we want to cook it to the right temperature, but then we want to chill it and refrigerate it promptly. So if you're not going to be eating it right away and it's going to sit out for a bit, you want to get that out of that danger zone. You want to get it back down to under that 40 degrees. If we're having food that's out, if you're serving at a picnic or, entertaining outside or something, you don't want food to sit outside for more than 2 hours. That's going to be too long. That bacteria is going to start to grow. And honestly, with temperatures above 90, so like this week, we don't want it out for more than an hour. My rule of thumb is like, when in doubt, throw it out, right? Like, it's not worth it. Trust me, it is not worth that extra bite of potato salad to be miserable or worse, have a really serious complication. One of the things I'll mention too, as we're switching things out, a great little tip, I'll keep the main serving dish in my fridge. I'll put a little out, I set it outside. The last thing we want to do is be eating like 2.5-hour-old Jarlsberg cheese and, so yeah, using little containers and setting them out. Does that answer that question?
It does. Yeah, no, I think that's a really great sort of introductory. Like I said, when we sat down to record this, I wanted to make sure that we just sort of touched on a couple of the high points and kept this at the forefront of people's minds. We'll definitely come back. We'll have you back. We'll talk more in depth about a couple of these things. But at the very least, public service announcement, keep these things at the forefront of your mind as much as you can as we're going through the extreme heat waves and into the summer.
Absolutely. And do you feel safer, Brandon? Are you still scared?
Still scared, but I do feel like I've got a plan, which is half the battle, right? I feel like I've got some plans in place to protect me and my family. Most likely, my wife, who's also a registered dietitian, is just going to do this for us. But in general, I trust the judgment and guidance of both of you. So, all right, Ash, that's all I have for you today. Like I said, we'll have you back on here very soon. We'll dive into some more topics. I appreciate your expertise and your time. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. It's so fun to be back, Brandon. And again, just, my little summary to keep you safe, and it's not rocket science. Stay clean, keep the kitchen clean, keep yourself clean, keep those things separated, cook it and store it properly. You're going to be good to go. And then when in doubt, I have to say it, when in doubt, throw it out.
I love it.
One mantra, just stick with it.
That's perfect. That is perfect. Ashley, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you. Take care.
Bye.